Can the drug industry do this on their own to avert the government actually doing it formally?
The drug industry has a great privilege in having a free market price system here in this country. And I think it's good for everybody because you have a lot more innovation if you have a free market price system. There are always individual companies that push the pricing too hard. What we're realizing going forward for this industry is growth through innovation. In some ways, the pressure from society, from the administration, from Alex Azar, from many others, Scott Gottlieb, the FDA commissioner, that's a very good pressure because it's telling companies that if you want to grow, you have to grow through innovation. And this is a great time for innovation. Fantastic science.
On the part of the FDA, they certainly made things like generics, biosimilars move faster to market, which is putting the pressure, right, on drug companies. But to push back, I mean, some people will say that drug companies need those price increases to fund innovation, to fund research and development. Is that just not true to a certain extent?
I don't think they should be doing it that way. They should be growing through innovation.
How do you pay for that, Fred, though, if you're not raising
Well,
the
drug
prices?
industry is a pretty profitable industry, about 24%. Pretty profitable also. Buybacks, dividends are healthy. I think they need to manage the capital allocation carefully, but most importantly, build a culture inside that really drives the business forward with innovation. If you can just grow through price increases, you can get very lazy. So innovation is the answer.
So let me ask you about, you just mentioned that in the United States, we fundamentally have a free market for pricing.
Yes.
That's not the case in many other parts of the world.
That is very correct.
There are many people who say that the result of that is that American consumers and American buyers of drugs are funding all of the innovation that most pharmaceutical companies around the world, whether they're U.S.-based or not, undertake. Is that a legitimate thing? And should we put not just pressure on the drug companies to keep their prices down, but on other major buyers of drugs, other countries, to look at how they price drugs?
Yes. So first, you're absolutely right. The American consumers are paying a lot for the R&D, the majority of the R&D. We are, although a country where people like innovation, the uptake of innovation among doctors and consumers is pretty high. So people want to see the new stuff come fast. And other countries hold it back as a way to reduce prices. Our people are not going to tolerate that. Now, as far as getting more out of other countries, this has always been a problem. A lot of wealthy countries, including our neighbor to the north, a lot of the countries in Western Europe, Japan, they should be paying more. But the U.S. Trade Representative needs to put this along with the other priorities that they have on their list. I don't think the industry has had enough pressure put on some of these countries to loosen up, because they do get a free ride to some extent from all the good work that gets done in this country. On the other hand, their innovation industries are not doing that well. When it comes to pharmaceuticals, this is a preeminent country. There is no other second country behind the U.S. So in that regard, it's good for our scientists, for our own people, but you're right. Many countries are getting a free ride.
Is there a level of price increase that's appropriate if you're a drug company, if you are also making sure to invest in innovation?
I think generally, by individual products might go up and down based on new indications, new uses. Sometimes you may want to move it up. Overall, your inflation should not be more than medical inflation, which is 2.2%, a little bit more than general inflation, which is 1.9%. So one should not be trying to grow the company through price increases. The overall situation is not as bad because some of the list prices, these list prices are not really translating into net prices. There's a lot of rebates going to the middleman, but also the generic industry is growing faster thanks to the FDA, and they are reducing a lot of the expensive prices by having much cheaper generics available.
How would you feel if you were on the receiving end of the president's criticism, very pointed at Merck, at some of the other ones? How would you feel and how would you respond as an executive?
I would immediately be in touch with Alex Azar, who is pretty approachable, accessible, very reasonable, very good leader, and try to explain my point of view, but try to understand the point of view that's coming from the administration, which is we don't like massive price increases. And this is a campaign promise that was made by the president. We're also coming up into an election season again. This is not going to be accepted. So CEOs have to be listening to what the administration is saying and what society is saying. And and be very careful with the magnitude of price increases. They cannot just delegate pricing decisions to the marketing department. They have to watch over these to make sure that there's no excessive behavior occurring. And where individual patients are not able to afford it, be much more aggressive with patient access programs that allow some special use.